Good evening, Europe. This is CFS Eurovision here, and today is time for the thing that every Eurovision YouTuber does every year, the predictions for the semi-final qualifiers. This week we'll be doing semi-final 1, next week is semi-final 2. So the way we'll be doing this is by a tier list of 3 tiers. You can see we've got definite qualifiers, not sure, and definitely out, definitely not qualifying. We'll then move the not sures out of that middle section to create our final 10 qualifiers. Going by running order then, let's start with Iceland. Now, let me preface this by saying I love Vibe. They are one of my favourite acts in the contest. This is my second favourite song this year. They have the infectious energy that I just love. However, it is sort of my head versus my heart on this one, because everything from odds to polling so far has suggested that it isn't qualifying. I do know a lot of people who love this song, though. I think combined with the uniqueness factor and the fact that sea shanties have been popular in recent years, I know we've sort of moved on from that now. But they could just sneak through. So I'm going to put that in the not sure column for now. Next is Poland's Justyna Steczkowska with Gaia. Now, Justyna is an impressive woman and artist. She did Eurovision many, many years ago. She's extremely established. I started by not particularly liking the song. I originally felt it to be a bit distant from the kinds of folk-based music that has worked well at Eurovision in the past. But the more I listen to it, the more it's growing on me. The difficulty here is just how good is it? Because we established last year that a favourable diaspora is simply either not enough or doesn't vote for Poland without the good song performance staging behind it. And if she does that choreography again in Basel, whilst it's extremely talented to hold a note while spinning around like that, it isn't very visually appealing. It's another not sure, but, you know, a strong one at that. Slovenia next, Klemen with How Much Time Do We Have Left? An emotive ballad about the time Klemen's wife, Mojca, I believe that's how you pronounce it, was diagnosed with, this is another hard one to pronounce, myelodysplastic syndrome. Definitely messed that one up. A rare form of cancer. She's thankfully since recovered fully. Fuck cancer. Anyway, the emotion does hit. I'm not sure why he decided to sing some of the chorus upside down at EMA, but if he does it again, that could be a moment to remember. Look, unfortunately, it isn't the kind of ballad that does well at Eurovision these days. It's too sort of on the nose, if that's a description you can apply to that. It doesn't particularly do a good job of standing out. Yeah, it's a no from me. It's going indefinitely out. Estonia, Tommy Cash, Espresso Macchiato. Now, this song has provoked quite a reaction already. Maybe it's the espresso getting everyone worked up. I can understand why people don't like this song. For me, it does lean so far into a joke topic that there isn't much of an actual song left. There's also the controversy over Cash's, or more specifically his character's, attitude during Estee Lauder and the release of the song United by Music, a collaboration with Netherlands 2024 artist Joost Klein, which makes disparaging remarks and allusions to hypocrisy following the incident last year in which Klein was alleged to have committed certain aggressive actions towards a camerawoman after he was filmed outside of prior arranged agreements. My opinion on that song ultimately is Klein obviously has an axe to grind, but a valid one given the multiple complaints raised to the EBU about the Israeli delegation harassing and filming without prior consent that weren't acted upon in the same way at the time. The zero tolerance policy the EBU talked about during Klein's incident seemingly not applying to them, and I'll mention that again later when I do the Netherlands. Cash, however, is an active participant in the contest this year, and so to make these disparaging remarks does feel a little bit like an overstep to me. Anyway, is the song qualifying or not? Well, Cash has the backing of Klein and 2023 Eurovision runner-up Kärja, and a legion of dedicated fans himself, of course. The song has 10 million plays on Spotify as I'm recording this, and is 9th in the odds to win after a long time where it was inside the top 5. I'm going to say this qualifies easily. I mean, it does have the support it requires, no matter what I say about it. We take a break for Spain at this point in the running order, but we return afterwards with Ukraine. Now, Zifferblatt's Bird of Prey is a very interesting entry. Zifferblatt are a rock band, a prog rock band, who finished as runners-up in Vidbeer 2024 before going on to win it this year. Ironically, I actually think this song is the worse of the two. However, I still kinda like it. It's unlike anything else in the lineup this year. The whistle notes are in place in the songs where they're most evocative. It does work really well. As for qualification chances, Ukraine's diaspora is by far the strongest, unfortunately due to the war, but it's advantageous in this case. Yeah, this one's got to go in the definite yes pile for me. Next up we have Sweden, and Sweden this year are not Swedening. They've sent a song in Swedish for the first time in forever. Kai with Barabarabastu. It's about a sauna. This is the favourite to win this year, and for good reason. It's my favourite as well. It's the right kind of ridiculous artistry that we love Eurovision for, and I'm glad Sweden finally took that risk. Let's not beat around the bush here. This is qualifying very easily indeed. Portugal next, and we have Napa with Deslocado. Festival de Canchao was quite an interesting one this year. Lots of interesting songs, none of which won it. And the overwhelming favourite going into the festival came 5th. Maybe next year, Josh. Anyway, Deslocado verges on the borderline of being boring and safe, and being the right kind of boring and safe to get jury votes if it made the final. It reminds me somewhat of the Black Mamba from 2021. Everyone hated it after Festival de Canchao. Near dead last in the odds, considered dead on arrival. And then the rehearsals happened, and it changed the situation entirely. Not only did it qualify, it came top half in the final, mostly down to the jury. I'm not sure this has the same power to do so, however. I feel like this is one where people think it could happen, but then the points simply don't materialise. So, yeah, I'm saying definite no, actually, on this one. I'm going to be bold. So next up is Norway, Kyle Alessandro with Lighter. Now, this was by far the best entry in Melody Grand Prix this year, but it was a notoriously weak field. It is starting to grow on me, but I'm very fickle when it comes to generic pop songs sometimes. This is also a weak Eurovision year, though, in my opinion, unfortunately. So not only does this have a chance, I think it has probably quite a good one. A lot of people are singing its praises online, and 8th is a very good running order spot, coming just after the subdued nature of Portugal, presumably also just far enough away from Sweden to not be forgotten in its aftermath. So yeah, I'm going to say yes, definite yes for Norway. So, at the halfway point, we have 4 qualifiers in this first 8. Not surprising, we need 10 out of 15 after all. Those 4 are Estonia, Ukraine, Sweden and Norway. We have 2 in the not sure pile, those being Iceland and Poland. And 2 in the definite no pile, Slovenia and Portugal. So we move on to Belgium now, and representing them this year is Red Sebastian with his song Strobe Lights. I have to confess here, I simply do not like this song. I don't know what it is, but I cannot bring myself to like it. It was my least favourite by a comfortable margin in Belgian Eurosong this year, though that absolutely isn't a reflection of him as a person. He comes across quite likeable, and as an artist, I do recognise that his vocal talent is amazing. He's an artist, I'm not. I should probably have clarified that. The script is grammatically off there, isn't it? Yeah, I just don't think this song shows the vocal talent off particularly well. This is a difficult one because the vast majority of people would say this is definitely qualifying. It's currently 6th in the odds to win the whole thing, ahead of countries like Czechia and Finland, who a lot of people believe have a chance to win it. But yeah, something isn't quite clicking for me at the moment, and I worry that casuals may feel the same on the night. I'm gonna put it in maybe, but it will probably make it through in the end. There'll be a break in the competition at this point in the night for Italy's entry to perform, but not compete, of course. And then we're off to Azerbaijan. Mama Gama are their representatives this year. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. With their song Run With You. I have to admit here that I'm in the minority when it comes to this song. I actually really like it. I like the way the traditional elements are implemented into a song that incorporates modern technological elements. It sounds to me like Azerbaijan have hit their sweet spot with their sort of own native written entries this year. However, I am unfortunately influenced by the decision, or in this decision, by the fandom reaction, which has been strikingly similar to the past couple of years. Azerbaijan has become ultimately something of an afterthought in Eurofans' brains, and with so many others politically opposing Azerbaijan because of their actions in Nagorno-Karabakh, a conflict I'm probably going to have to cover at some point in another video, but one I won't mention beyond this point in this one. Azerbaijan are stuck in a situation where votes are going to naturally be very difficult to come by. For that reason, there is only really one place I can put this, and that's indefinitely out. Following that, we have San Marino. San Marino are represented by Gabri Ponte and the song Tutta l'Italia. Some of you who are not Eurovision fans may have already heard the name Gabri Ponte. He's probably the most famous artist this year, alongside Tommy Cash and Justina. One of his most notable works comes in the form of the complete Eiffel 65 version of the song I'm Blue. Tutta l'Italia has had an interesting history in national finals this year. It was first established as the theme song for the San Remo Music Festival, the festival, emphasis on festival, that also serves as the national selection for Italy at Eurovision. Ponte then entered the song as an official entry in the San Marino Song Contest, which he then, of course, won. As for qualification chances, this one is another difficult one to predict. On one hand, I do think this is the best entry San Marino has sent by far since Adrenalina in 2021, when Flo Rida stepped onto that stage with their spokesperson for this year's Senate, only to receive 13 televote points and not even surpass Serhat as their best ever result. On the other hand, you have the fact that Ponte is a DJ and not the vocalist on the song, coupled with what we've been hearing the past couple of days, that the vocalist will be anonymous and I believe their face will be covered on the stage. The entry could be visually just a bit naff. Could just look like a party's going on stage. As a result, this goes in the not sure pile for now. And I do think it is definitely at huge risk. Now, a reason I didn't mention there that San Marino are at risk of non-qualification this year is the entry that follows it. Albania have sent Shkodra Elektronika to Eurovision with their song Zjerm. It's a cult favourite in the fandom. I also love it. I have a feeling that casuals will love it too. It's got the catchy hook, even with the language barrier. These aren't even where the positives end. The song is in the top 10 in the odds. It should arguably be higher. The Eurovision subreddit has ranked it top overall. Yeah, the hype around this one is absolutely insane. There's only one thing for me to do, and that's put this as a definite yes. Entry number 13 is the Netherlands. Claude with C'est la vie. Now, I can't mention the Netherlands without again mentioning their controversy last year. Those unaware, their contestant last year, Joost Klein, with his song Europapa, was disqualified after having originally qualified to the final and finishing second in the semi-final, after he was alleged to have made a threatening move towards a member of the production staff after allegedly being filmed outside of prior agreements. Now, the ambiguity of what I've just said, first of all, speaks volumes, and for the rest of that year, Avrotros, the Dutch broadcaster, and the EBU were totally at odds with each other. The EBU were weirdly keen to emphasise the member of staff as being female, which to me is frankly irrelevant, and ultimately they also mentioned the fact that the incident had been referred to the police. Avrotros, on the other hand, were keen to emphasise, on their end, the lack of any kind of discussion with the EBU following the incident. They were just sort of thrown out without warning. Add to that the fact that a few weeks later, the police eventually cleared Klein of illegal activity. And you have the perfect storm, really. And that's without the fandom reaction, which was a mixture of anger and disappointment. Many, including myself, were quick to point out the sheer hypocrisy of the EBU's actions in this instance. The EBU mentioned a zero-tolerance approach, yet have plenty of tolerance towards the people who filmed without permission in the first place. And there's video evidence of that very thing occurring many times from the Israeli delegation in particular towards artists such as Ireland's Bambi Thug, who had previously expressed pro-Palestinian views. One such piece of video evidence came from Karen Pelez, who is on the Israeli team again this year. Simply put, these people shouldn't have been allowed back this year, and probably should have been thrown out last year. I'm not asking for the Israeli entry to be removed, just those guilty members of the delegation. At least this year, there are new rules regarding that, including dedicated no filming zones and media guides that will offer unbiased support to anyone that requires it. Anyway, rant over. Back to the Dutch entry this year. Claude is a very talented artist, and it shows in his expressive dance moves and the vocals themselves. C'est la vie is a catchy song and is in my top 3 for this year. It's a shame I can't vote for it because I'm in the UK and we vote in semi-final 2 this year. Look, simply put, there's no chance this doesn't qualify. This is another definite yes. Our penultimate competitor in this semi-final is Croatia's Marko Bosniak with Poison Cake. If I had a nickel for every time Croatia were represented by a man named Marko with a food-related entry, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. How many times have you heard that this year? Anyway, this song has grown on me since it won Dora. It wasn't my favourite in Dora, but I'm not sure any of those other songs could have done better. Marko seems likeable, and the entry incorporates a range of different styles without really feeling disjointed at any point. The fandom, however, haven't really reacted to this song in the same way. It's among the bottom-ranked songs this year, which is unfortunate given Croatia's result last year. But as far as HRT, the Croatian broadcaster, are concerned, that result last year was accidental because Baby Lasagna was never meant to compete in Dora, let alone Eurovision in the first place. So there's a lot still to improve over at that broadcaster. Yeah, this one goes indefinite no. I can't see it getting there no matter how hard I try. So we have our final break in the show for the host Switzerland to perform, and that is followed by our final act, Cyprus, closing the semi-final with Theo Evan and Shh. Artistically, I'm unsure why this is closing the semi-final. It's not big enough to do so. Lyrically, it's quite off. I mean, the first line confuses all of us with, "I've got golden locks and eyes so captivating." Theo Evan has dark hair. So the question, "Who am I?" said later in the verse, is very relevant here. Also later in the song, he, quote, "lost my heartbeat," end of quote, which is a grave concern, and I hope they have defibrillators readily available at the St. Jakobshalle in Basel. Jokes aside, this is a decent song, but not a closer, and for all the hype after Theo Evan was announced as the artist, it completely dissipated with the song's release. This has made it go from top 10 in the odds to what's currently 11th, but was at one point as low as 21st. It unfortunately does have to go into the not sure on this one. Right, so overall, what have we got? We have Estonia, Ukraine, Sweden, Norway, Albania, and the Netherlands. So that's 6 countries in the definite yes. Slovenia, Portugal, Azerbaijan, and Croatia, 4 countries in definite no. And with 5 non-qualifiers from this semi-final, that means that out of these 5 countries in the not sure pile, i.e. Iceland, Poland, Belgium, San Marino, and Cyprus, 4 of them will be going through, and 1 will be eliminated. This is an interesting one because it's sort of a reverse of what a lot of fans have said about Semi-Final 2. Semi-Final 2, for a lot of people, has 5 entries fighting for 1 qualification spot, whereas Semi-Final 1 here has 5 entries fighting to avoid 1 elimination spot. So, who do we think has more of a chance then? I'm going to trust the fandom with this one and say Belgium has the edge of those countries overall, just in terms of the fact that if I'm putting it in unsure and there's only 1 elimination, spot there. I don't think that one would be the one that's getting it. Poland's diaspora give it more of a case here as well, even though they don't always turn out in enough numbers, as we saw in Malmo last year. So I think they're in, which leaves Iceland, San Marino, and Cyprus. I'm going to say this comes down to song similarities. I don't think in this case that there's enough room for both Iceland and San Marino in this final. A bit like what happened to Malta last year, where its votes were just eaten up by Austria and Georgia. So that in turn makes Cyprus lucky but safe. Iceland or San Marino is what it comes down to. Now, the model, which is created by Eurovoix and takes into account various statistics and factors to create an impression of the situation in the contest, as is at various points in the run-up, their latest prediction has San Marino qualifying over Iceland. However, of the 3 predictions they've done so far, Iceland have gotten a lot closer and closer. In other words, they have the momentum. I do feel like people are going to respond more to Iceland than San Marino. Yeah, and that coupled with Hopium, because it's my second favourite this year, and the fact that Norway and Sweden are in its semi-final, whereas San Marino kind of just has Italy. Yeah, I'm going to put Iceland in over San Marino. At risk of jinxing it, but hopefully not. Hopefully they do qualify. I'm just gutted I can't vote for them. Really gutted I can't vote for Iceland. So, there we have it, folks. My predictions for the semi-final 1 qualifiers of Eurovision 2025. Next week I'll do my semi-final 2 qualifiers. I'm quite busy with university work at the moment, but if I do find the time, I'll do 2 videos next week. One with the semi-final 2 qualifiers, and one as just a general preview going into Eurovision week with maybe some winner predictions, what I think will happen, etc. But you'll be able to tell when I release that semi-final 2 video if I've been successful in finding the time or not. But anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, give it a like, share, comment, and subscribe. All those sorts of things. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.